Welcome back, everybody. We're here with After the Whistle, Blade's banner. Coach Blade, going to talk about Michigan versus Purdue. Got a win, 21-16, and then we'll also talk about the Big Ten, probably the coaching carousel that's going on. We'll talk about the CFP. We'll hit on a couple things that are going on in college football because we got a bye week. But first off, Coach, we want to talk about Purdue. We want to calm down some of the naysayers and all the critics out there. We have some stuff that we think we need to work on as a team, as a coaching staff, as players, but also we see the game plan was not different than the game plans that we've seen this year. There were a couple things that were, not on the stat sheet that were indicative of how the game turned out. So, Coach, what do you think about?
We had two red zone fumbles.
Yeah, fumble and interception. We had an interception and a fumble.
Sorry, two turnovers. The ball got knocked out of Bryce Underwood's arm, landed in the end zone, unfortunately. Touchback. And then he missed two wide open receivers that were sure touchdowns. So that's a lot of points right there. So in my estimation, the sky is not falling. And I also I'm saying to my friends, you remember what Al Davis said? Just win, baby. Just win.
Yep.
That's what they did. Sometimes you have to win ugly. I do feel that emotionally, coming off the Michigan State victory, and that was an emotional game, and an emotional victory, a lot of passion and energy for a young team. They probably didn't prepare mentally and didn't approach it like a more mature veteran team would. Now that's a product of being young, and kids. They're young players, and we are a very young team. And it's also, a product of the coaches got to get you ready. But it's inevitable that you're going to have games like that. I remember a couple years ago when we barely beat Illinois, and it wasn't an Illinois team that's as good as this team they have. They had Chase Brown, some other players. And then I can remember struggling against Navy when we were just annihilating everybody. So, and Purdue's not is an improving team, and that's a fine coach. I did want to tell one story, and it's a story that I tell when I was trying to make the Chiefs. In 1974, we went out to Los Angeles and we played the Los Angeles Rams. They were way ahead of us in an exhibition game. I lined up to rush on the extra point. And unbeknownst to me, the great Merlin Olsen, the Hall of Famer, was across from me. I, of course, rushed as hard as I could, came up under his helmet with my helmet, hit him in the chin, and split his chin wide open. And he goes, "What the hell are you trying to do, rookie?" I said, "Well, Mr. Olsen, I'm just trying to make the team." And then as he held his chin like this, he said, I am too. So I went to him afterwards and I apologized to him. I saw him after the game. Somehow we congregated with them. It was an exhibition game, and we had all these great veterans, Willie Lanier and all these great players, and they were friends. Then I went up and I said, "Mr. Olsen, I want to apologize." He has no need. I said, "Well, such a great player like you, and I hope that you're not injured badly." He had a big thing on his chin. And he said, "I'm going to tell you, I appreciate what you're saying, but remember this. No one's ever as good as they say they are, or no one's ever as bad as they say they are. And take no one lightly." Well, those are words that I embrace. And that is true. So, every great player is vulnerable. Every young player is more capable of a bad outing than a veteran player. Everybody's critical of Bryce Underwood because he missed some obvious passes. Now,
Coach,
I thought in the game he was a thrower and not a passer. He's got to evolve into a passer, and he will, get there. But I feel strongly. We put JJ in. I remember when JJ was a freshman, Jimmy threw him in up at Michigan State. He came in, dropped the ball, made a critical fumble when they beat us up there the last time they beat us. And Tom Brady didn't play when he was a freshman. He sat there and watched Brian Griese win the national championship. So we have a young man that's going to evolve into a really fine player. I think the sky's the limit. Now he's got to do it. He's got to put the time in, and he's got to. We have to be able to pass the ball in order to go down and be undefeated down the stretch. And we're capable of it, but we're also capable of losing to any team left on the schedule. The 3 games we have, we can beat any of them. Believe me, but we got to be able to when they gang up on at the line of scrimmage or they limit us and give us bad, negative or limited gains on first and second downs, and we're forced to pass. We got to be able to hit the receivers. Now, I'm confident he will. They have a couple weeks to get it back, get it right. He's been very accurate up to now. He just really had a bad outing. At the same time, he took us. We won the game. We're 7-2, and we're in a position to accomplish a lot and get into college football playoffs.
I agree, Coach. I think that you hit on a lot of stuff. I think the psychology of sports psychology. Purdue is 0-5 in the Big Ten. These kids are Division I athletes. They have, they believe in themselves. They want to go out to Michigan. They want to go in Michigan Stadium. They want to shock the world. They want to upset everybody. They want to make their season.
Coach. He is a fine coach. He's a proven coach. He won out there at UNLV.
I agree. And then
he won big. He had some big years at Missouri before he dropped off.
I totally agree, Coach. And I think that Purdue is also built, he wants to play ball how we play ball. So like you always talk about, you run the ball against your defense and you make your defense tough. Then you're tough down the stretch. He believes in that type of football too. You can see it. And that kind of came into play. Now, as far as Bryce Underwood, everybody, if he hits those 2 balls, those 2 long balls, I know he missed them.
Then we got him in line for that.
No, but I'm just saying he passed for 145 yards. If he hits those balls, he throws for 230 yards, and everybody's happy, and we scored 2 more touchdowns, and nobody's talking. So our game plan, and I want to tell you, nothing changed about how we played football against Purdue than we've played all season. Now, there's people out there that don't believe
something too about Purdue, and I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I'm
going to say this. Purdue is the 8th best passing team in the Big Ten, but they're the 9th best rushing team in the Big Ten. We're the 2nd best rushing team in the Big Ten, behind Indiana. The 11th best rushing team in the Big Ten Conference is Ohio State. They are only rushing for 153 yards a game. They are one-dimensional right now. Now, when we look at our team, we say, well, we're just a running team, but Bryce has proven to be a very fine runner, and we're just inches away from hitting those passes. Now, they have a tremendous passing team at Ohio State. He's completing 80% of his team. But when you look at Purdue scored, and I went over it last week, they scored 17 points and 20 points. They scored a lot of points against good teams. And so they have a pretty prolific offense. They were missing their best rusher. And as you know, Rob, we were missing a ton of guys on defense, and we executed badly on defense. I know you wanted to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, no, I mean, on defense, on offense, there's some things. So we are trying to cover up stuff with inexperience, right? So we have an inexperienced quarterback. So in our pocket, pass protection's not great. So we roll him out, we sprint him out, we do all these things that he's really good at. But also when
it's smart, let's do what we can do.
Exactly. Well, on defense, we had young linebackers in the game. We had we're rotating a lot of guys on defensive back. So we were blitzing a lot. Our defensive line, who is usually our anchor, who usually plays the best for us, did not play very sound. They weren't gap responsible. They were peaking.
No, their rush lanes. They got out of their rush lanes.
I mean, you saw it, Coach. You've talked about this all year since Mateer. Quarterback runs in our red zone. So we have to eliminate quarterback runs in our red zone. Then also, Wink likes to play man in our red zone. So guys understand that. You saw the last touchdown. We got picked. They ran a double slant. Our backside backer had the quarterback that's away from the trips, and it's kind of like our play in the national championship where Blake Corum sneaks out and they pick the guys. So that was inexperience. We didn't combo that. We call it I used to call it a combo. Hey, combo. Whatever comes out must go in. I'll take what comes in. You take what goes out.
Yep.
So that stuff, when you're subbing in new guys and you're just trying to you're trying to make sure they're getting the calls right, they're lined up right, and all this stuff. Some of that stuff is secondary, right? When you're trying, and then it shows in the red zone. It shows when they're trying to score the ball. So I think
When you took Rolander and Cole out of there, that's big. Now, Bowles, I was happy to see young Bowles come in there.
he has
When
ability.
you take Justin Haynes, is still the second leading rusher in the Big Ten, and he hasn't played 2 games. And so when you take players of that magnitude out, now Marshall has more than stepped up, and I love him. But I also liked our young player, a young player from Grand Rapids. I hope Kuzal. I hope I pronounce it right. But I like how they protect the ball, and I think we're going to have young players that are going to have to step up. And we talked about injuries as you get down when you're in the stretch run, and you get key injuries. Younger players are going to have to step up and make big plays. So we missed some big plays. We didn't make the big plays we typically make, but that last drive was a thing of beauty. When Marshall, we really just on Marshall's back, we put the game away. And that was a beautiful, beautiful. This dominated. So the kids up front are trying hard and giving a lot of effort. The young kid, the 77, Frazier's doing a pretty good job at tackle. I thought Sprague had a struggle sometimes over at the right tackle, but he's playing better. We have our young tight ends. The other Marshall, Zach Marshall, really made some nice plays too, tight ends. So, there's a lot of good things. The sky is not falling. Uh, we had a bad outing, but we won the game. And there are things to improve, and we can get healthier. Also, I'm going to tell you, when young players win a big game, an emotional game like that Michigan State game, they are not necessarily mature enough and experienced enough to know that they got to come back and they got to put that's 24-hour rule, celebrate, then you got to come back and you got to get ready. And you got to get ready because you're going to get challenged. And we will get challenged by Northwestern and Wrigley Field in a week, and also by Maryland, which has a prolific offense, a fine coach, and a really great quarterback.
Well, I'll tell you.
And then, of course, we want to get to the big one.
I know. There's a lot of critics. There's a lot of armchair quarterbacks. There's a lot of guys with podcasts out there that are saying, they can't play how they played against Purdue and beat Northwestern, which is very true. But the problem is,
we played some bad games. Look at how we played it. We played terrible in Indiana. We physically beat Ohio State in their stadium.
Yes,
and made their coach. Their coach couldn't even speak after the game. He had no words.
He was in a stupor.
What were you talking about? Transactional, comparative scores. If comparative scores work, I'd be the richest man in the world because I would bet a lot of money and make money. But I'm not. Comparative scores don't mean anything. We play a different brand of football. We are not a high-powered, high-scoring offense. We are control the line of scrimmage, control the game. Now, one thing I want to do is catch a damn punt and kickoffs and have some sort of return game. We give, and now we had a bad punt last week. Then he another bad punt, but he corrected himself. So of course, the kid from Purdue had a bad punt, which allowed us really to drive the field and win the game. It happens, but we have to have discipline and we got to be mistake proof. So you take a game like this and you really work on game mistakes. First thing you do, which they did, and correct them. And, we have to have we have to embrace relentless improvement. Relentless improvement. Get better, get better, get better. And you know what that takes? That takes tireless effort. That takes tireless work. And that's how the great ones do it. How do you think Tom Brady became the greatest player in football? He was there at 6 a.m. He did what he had. Jerry Rice. There's a lot of great examples. And there are examples of teams that do that. So I know that's what Sharon, that is his philosophy. We correct the mistakes, we get better, and we don't repeat. Bear Bryant, remember the great Bear Bryant said, well, you're a great coach because you never make mistakes. He goes, no, I made a lot of mistakes. He said, but I've been successful because I'll tell you what I don't do. I never repeat a mistake. I learn from my mistakes. So, everything, some of this is trial and error for us, just like, the scientific method. And we have a young quarterback. And if anybody is crazy enough to think he's going to light it up every single game, you're foolish. It doesn't happen. It's a monumental task that he has taken on to be a freshman quarterback. And who does that?
I just want to say this.
Chad Henning. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
So he's getting better.
I think there was 3 people in the 144 years of Michigan football that were freshman quarterback. Chad Henne, Rick Leach, and I'm blanking on the other guy. But Coach, Bryce Underwood is also, you want to run Bryce Underwood out of town. You want to see where we're at without him. He's playing within Michigan's offense. He loves it. He loves to run the ball. He loves to beat people. He is supportive. Yeah, he wants to throw for a whole bunch of yards, but he's embracing the process, Coach. He is embracing.
And that's it. So we love him. My favorite player sits on the bench, our quarterback last year. That wonderful story about Warren and who he is as a human being, beating cancer. And he's at the bench supporting the team. And so if he can do that, then all of us can do the same thing. If he can sit down after playing every game last year and being roundly criticized, a guy that has beat the biggest foe there is, cancer, a kid of tremendous, tremendous courage, if he can stay behind Bryce and if he can be supportive, then so can all of us. And that's a great lesson. That's called integrity and loyalty, courage, toughness. And so, those podcasters, people like to criticize, tell you, well, it's not the critic that counts, and it isn't. It isn't. It's okay.
People love the man in the arena, sports. Coach. It's the man in the arena.
Man in the arena. Tell you, TR said that, and so that's what counts. And so, but as Michigan people, we stay behind him. I think Magic Johnson, who I revere, greatest athlete ever, should not have criticized their coach up there at Michigan State. And that's happened for us. Bo said we don't ever criticize the program publicly. We make internally, we stick together. And when we have to make adjustments, we make the adjustments. But we don't want to fall out on people. And that's not who we are. Not that Magic did it. And, he was emotional after we beat him. But, they got to stick behind that guy. And just like we got to stick behind our young quarterback, who has really had an extraordinary season, in our young coach, in our young players, in our team, no matter what. They're our team. We are Michigan. And we win and we lose together. And that's how we're going to do it, and that's who we are. So I heard some guy gave this team the team speech. We're going to stick together. We're going to not talk behind each other's backs. We're not going to criticize each other. Because in the end, it's going to be Michigan. And we're going to stick together as a team. And we don't put one man ahead of anybody else. And that's the way the university and the fans and everybody else should look at it, in my opinion. So everybody's, how can we beat Ohio State? Well, Ohio State can't run the ball right now, just so people know. And if Texas completed a pass or two, they might not be undefeated. Does that mean Ohio State does not have a great team? They are great. They are extraordinary. Indiana is extraordinary. They're a juggernaut. We know Oregon's really gifted. But Michigan is coming. We're in a battle. We're in a dogfight, and we got to stick together. And, I wish you would have hit those passes. And I'm as critical as anybody. You got to pull a little air into the ball. Old Coach Mo with John Wangler, he put a big bucket down at the end, big garbage can thing, and put John back at 45 yards, put it in the corner of the end zone, and John had to put the ball into that, and he threw it 100 times into that garbage can. But in the end, he knew how to put the air on the ball. He knew how to fade the receiver to the sideline, and he completed a lot of passes to Anthony Carter that way. So there are things you can do, and I'm sure they have much more sophisticated methods than that now.
The old trash bucket. Trash bucket's not going.
It's like put it in the bucket. Like basketball players. Hey,
the bread basket, Coach. The bread basket.
In order to get that, you have to have some touch. So there are things, and they're gonna, he's gonna do it. Sometimes I think he wants to be Patrick Mahomes and throwing the ball off sidearms. He's not Patrick yet. Can he be Patrick someday? I think perhaps. There's a lot of distance between those two, but he sure has all the ability. So he's just got to get a little touch going and put a little air on the ball and learn how to lead the receivers.
I do want you to touch on this, Coach, because you said it, and I've talked about this. I steal it when I talk to my friends, but he's a thrower of the ball. He's not a passer.
He throws right now. Sometimes he throws it. Like a pitcher. There's some great pitchers. They come up and they come into the major leagues, Verlander and these guys, and they can throw the ball so well. They can Scherzer still playing. They can throw the ball so hard they can throw it past people. But then they have to learn. That only lasts so long. They have to learn to become a pitcher. That's off speed pitches, all the, a slider, developing your other pitches, stuff like that. Well, the same thing is true with a quarterback. And he's a real young guy. He's 18 in 3 months, for God's sake. And, playing in front of 111,000 people who expect perfection. And so I don't expect it, but I would like to hit a couple of those big passes when somebody's wide open. And I think we're going to do it. And I think we can do it. And we can't be afraid to continue to try to do it. We can't go into a shell. We have to be creative. We have to, when they put 8, 9 men up, which people are going to do, we got to throw some passes, which we did to our tight ends. Our tight ends got to step up. I hope that McCulley is not hurt. But, we have young Marsh out there, number 4. And these guys got to step up. And we got to make plays. And we got to make the plays. You got to make the plays to win the game at the right time. Do we have the ability to do that? Yes. Do we have a concept? Yes. So now it's execution. Some of it is being a little bit undisciplined. So you have to have discipline defensively.
Coach, I don't want people to think that we're giving Michigan a pass. We are undisciplined right now. We're an undisciplined football team. So for Michigan football, and we've talked about this forever. You always say,
I think we've been critical. I think we've been relatively. That's one game. That is one game.
But you have to play mistake-free football, and we are not playing to run the ball to wear people down. We're not playing mistake-free football, Coach. So we really need to get on top of our game. We have to prove in a lot of areas. And we called out our coaches, I think 3 weeks ago. They came back. They coached the positions we talked about. They came back and played great.
Well, that was immeasurable. Everybody was bad at SC.
So
we all were bad.
Well,
I sucked.
You said
I was a bad fan. And we learned something there.
But you said SC, Coach. I want to remind people, Bryce Underwood has went to Oklahoma and to the Coliseum. He hasn't went. He's not losing at.
Has not gone. Let's use the right verb.
He has not gone.
I got criticized when I did that. I did that on radio.
He has not gone to. This isn't a Mid-American team. This isn't a Sun Belt team.
Well, he's not going down. He's not. Belleville's not going down to play. Martin Luther King. This is different. This is not Belleville playing against Plymouth High School. So in front of 5,000 people.
Well, this is one thing I want to tell you and talk to you about, Coach. I think he is a pocket passer at heart. We have not created a pocket for him. He is getting out of the way.
We struggle
right now.
We struggle.
He has to decide. Okay, so sometimes he's pretty hesitant. He scrambles, then he gets to the line. He wants to throw. Is he running? When he decides, hey, I'm running, or hey, I'm scrambling to pass, he is way better than when he's in limbo.
And here's what they have to do. Bredesen can catch the ball, so he can be an outlet. And also, Marshall is good, very good catching the ball. So throw it away or dump it. Don't ever try to force it. And I think sometimes it's easy for us to see. But, when you're standing up there and you got 6'7" guys in front of you blocking, sometimes it's hard to get a throwing lane and sometimes get vision on the open receiver. So, we just got to devise things for him, some intermediate routes. We had 2 drops again. Cannot drop the ball. If you drop the ball, you should sit down. Put the next guy in. That's where we are right now. Catch the damn ball. That's what your position is. So if you don't block, then you don't get, sit down. We'll get somebody who can block. If you don't catch the ball, we'll get somebody who can catch it. And sort of that's where I am. And, I'm behind all the kids and I don't want to jinx them, but you got to execute out there, and this is a big boy sport. This is the big boys now. A lot involved.
Everybody's making money now, Coach.
Money.
Everybody's making money. You have to demand excellence. You always talk about it, motivation and performance. You got to demand excellence. Push people to the brink. You got to push them to the brink. But
we have to be resolute. in our
Yes.
approach. We've got to be resolute. We're not going to lose. We're not going to give up. We're going to defeat the other guy. No matter what happens, we're going to keep coming. We're going to keep coming. We're going to overcome adversity. We've got to be resolute, and we've got to stay together as a team.
Well, Coach,
That's my analysis. It's not. Look, it'd be fun if they go out there and do what Indiana's doing, just destroying people and putting 50 points up. But we're winning.
does it look different at the end of the season? Does it have a different? Is there a different letter than a W next to the?
No.
I mean,
and then no one forgets. No one remembers who comes in second place either.
no.
So all those things, and why you did, no matter how close you came.
Well, it's obvious. It's obvious to anyone when we play Purdue 21-6, we need to play better. But we beat Purdue. Yes. We've touched on the places we need to improve on. And obviously, everybody needs to get better across the board. Probably the scout team, probably the trainers, probably the weight.
Oh, it's a team. We all got to do better.
Yeah.
Coaches, we all got to do better.
But so now, Coach, we're looking at
we weren't ready mentally, or we didn't execute, and we were undisciplined out there. And that's why it was a close game. But in the end, we won the game. And remember, I go back to L. Davis, just win, baby. If we had not won the game right now, we'd have our hands, head in our hands, and tears in our eyes. But we won it, and we keep marching and moving forward. And so people should not underestimate us. It's like Merlin Olsen had. No one's as good as they say they are. So Ohio State and Indiana are two of the greatest teams in the history of college sports. Greatest defense, greatest rushing attack down there at Indiana. Great quarterback, going to be the first guy picked. So Michigan is Michigan. And so if they underestimate us or take us lightly, they should be wary. They should heed my advice. Take no one for granted. Take nothing for granted. And you got to win every game. And that means you got to be at your very best. Now, I really feel like those other teams have great momentum. Oregon's a great team. Right now, when we look at it,
what's going on in the Big Ten? Hit me with your Big Ten analysis.
There are three Big Ten teams in the top 10. There are 4 SEC teams. There are 8 SEC teams in the top 25. And there are 6 Big Ten teams in the top 25, and Michigan is 21. Notre Dame has risen from an uneven, start to number 10 in the country. And, they always want Notre Dame in there for obvious reasons. There's tremendous following. There's great tradition. We, of course, want to see C.J. Gard have great success, and he has had great success. And we're always rooting for him. So, there's some great games this week. When we look around, I wrote them down here. I know Texas Tech is going to play. Let me see here. I wrote it down, and let me find it here. If I can find it in my copious notes that I can't read myself. So BYU and Texas Tech play, 2 of the best teams in the country. And BYU is really a great team. At Texas Tech, BYU goes to Texas Tech. Georgia plays Mississippi State, and that's an important game for Georgia. Texas A&M goes to Missouri. And Missouri has a top 25 team. Oregon goes to Iowa. So we'll see what Iowa is. Iowa has been surprisingly good this year. They've always played great defense, but they got a quarterback there from South Dakota State or one of those Dakota states who is really playing great football. And that guy, let's say it like it is, Ferentz is going to go down as one of the great college coaches in history. He has proven it. He's the winningest coach in Big Ten history. God bless him. He's done it, and he's done it at Iowa. So that's going to be an interesting game. If the West Coast teams can come out to the Midwest in cold, inclement weather and play in front of a hostile crowd and win, that's a true indication that they have something special there. But they have 1 loss, Oregon. They can ill afford 2 losses. There will be 2 lost teams getting the college football playoffs. And Alabama goes to LSU. LSU, who fired the coach. But let's face it, they got a quarterback there named Nussbaumer. They got gifted athletes at LSU. And that place will be on fire. Those Cajuns will be yelling. I've been there for that game. That's a big time deal there. And they're going to be yelling like crazy. And Alabama has their work cut out for them to get out of that one. And now, if we look at it now, the bye teams, where the first teams will play, the big teams would get byes, in the CFP. But Memphis would play Georgia. This is what they project. Oregon will play Texas Tech. Virginia will play Ole Miss, and Notre Dame play BYU. But BYU, Texas Tech has something to say. But BYU, they're both going to be in, and they have both of those guys going from the Big 12. So there's a lot going down the stretch. Everything's up for grabs. Michigan is look. It'd be nice if we were undefeated. One loss, we'd be in a really fine position. But like Jansen said, John Jansen, the great John Jansen, he said that every game's a playoff game now. Every game. So that's how we have to approach it. So Purdue was a playoff game, and we barely rose to the occasion. But we got to be better than that when we go to play Northwestern. That's a well-coached team. That team has been surprisingly good. They're stubborn. They're tough. They beat Penn State, I think, at State College, and that's what got Franklin fired. So, and then after that comes Maryland. Loxley is a guy who was an offensive coordinator for Saban, knows how to move the ball, and has a great freshman quarterback. There's two great ones in the country, and ours is one, and the other one's at Maryland. And then, of course, the big boys are coming up here, the big Ohio State. And, everybody looks forward to that game. The whole country looks at that game because it is the greatest rivalry of football. But we've got a long way to go before we get there. A long way to go. We got a lot to do, a lot to accomplish. If we don't make progress this week, then we shall not get to where we want to go. These are critical times right now. We can get healthy, but we can also fix the problems, resolve the issues that we have, and then get prepared to make our run. That's what we got to do. So when you look at the Big Ten, it's Ohio State and Indiana. And Indiana, I'm a believer. They got a great team. And then, come Oregon's after that. The guys in Lincoln got knocked out by SC. SC is still a factor. So there's a lot happening out there, and it's going to be fun to watch. This is an exciting time for college football. And the big thing is we look at this CFP. Iowa, I'm telling you, Iowa, this is a huge game for Iowa. If Iowa wins this game, they're in a position, and I have to look at the rest of their schedule to go to the college football playoffs. Right now, they're sitting at 6-2.
There's a podcaster out there that said they were dangerous, dog.
Iowa
football. They're playing
Iowa's dangerous, and I guarantee it ain't easy to play out there in Iowa City.
Absolutely.
Those guys, they stop baling for baling hay, and then they come there and they wear these black nylon jackets with tackle twill Iowa on the back, and they yell and they love their team, and they play hard.
We're gonna find out who they are though, Coach, because they play Oregon, they play USC, they got Michigan State, they got Nebraska. So that's the Big Ten. There's no cupcakes. No cupcakes down the stretch, Coach.
We found that out last week. You take a game off, you're going to get nailed.
Well, everyone's talking.
And it's always been this way. But this is nothing new.
We just came off Wisconsin, Washington, USC. I mean, everybody's talking about we played back. We just came off a stretch, man. And so I talked to you last week about getting healthy. I said, are we going to try to get healthy or do we got to play? We tried to get healthy, and we got a bye week. We're getting 2 weeks. We're going to get some guys back, Coach, against Northwestern and Maryland. So we'll see.
And also, we're going to calm this guy down, our quarterback. We're going to work on some long throws. This Chip Lindsey, he had Drake May. I mean, he knows how to coach a great quarterback. Look what Drake May's doing in the National Football League. It's unbelievable what he's doing up there up there for Tom Brady's old team in New England. So, I have confidence in our coaches. I think our running back coach, I fear that he's a Colorado State graduate, and Colorado State's looking for a coach. Tony, what's his last name?
Alford? Is it Alford?
Alford, I think so. Boy, he's a heck of a coach, and he's proven that. He was down at Ohio State, so he developed Travion and the Junkins kid. Travion for sure.
Is he the guy that recruited Weber out of Cass Tech from us?
Mikey Weber went down there. So he's really a great recruiter, but he's a great asset to our staff. And he's a wonderful running back coach. And we got the great old Freddie Jackson there too, on the sidelines, who's a heck of a running back coach too. So we got 1-2 punch there. Boy, Justice and performed so well and came with a chip on his shoulder. And I tell you, Marshall, I mean, who doesn't love him the
Wow.
way he plays? I
Watching him.
mean, the feet, those legs never stop. He runs with determination and resolve. I talked about being resolute, but he has resolve. He has resolve. That guy.
Well, usually you tell a running back, you say, or somebody with the ball, you say, don't spin because that's when you're going to get hit really hard. Don't do a spin move in the
Well, he
box.
pulls the ball.
Coach, he does a spin
Right.
move
That's when your
and
arm.
he runs
That's
people
when your arm will
over.
typically come out of your away from your body. Yeah.
Yeah, he
That's
does a
when
spin.
he's got such strong legs. That's when typically when you're spinning and twisting, that's when the ball will sometimes come out. And then, the guys come in and punch the ball now. You got to keep that ball cradled with your other arm over it. That's why those young backs that came in, I thought Kuzdo was slashing. He slashed in there, had some nice runs for us when Marshall gave Marshall a breather down that stretch. But he had ball security, and that's what we have to have. And that's what also I think old Bryce learned something when they punched the ball out from him when he was trying to running down towards the end zone when he punched the Purdue punched it out. Player punched it out and went. Fortunately, he landed in the end zone for a touchback.
Well,
So there's all learning experiences.
but one thing I want to talk to you last, Coach, because we'll let you go. It's been 35 minutes. We want to get to 40 and call it a day. But one thing I want to talk to people, everybody's firing their coach. Everybody thinks
There's public clamor for us to go shorter.
yeah.
Those are people that watch it into the
Yeah, please stop. Go 20 minutes.
into the second hour.
But everybody wants to fire their coach. Everybody's firing their coach. If I was looking at coaches, I would be looking at Tony Anise at Ferris State to make his big. I think that's the guy. You want a Kalen DeBoer? You want somebody? I know he's older, but he has one last run left in him. And I'm telling all these people that are. So everybody wants to fire everybody, this and that. We need to keep our coach. There's not many good coaches out there, and everybody wants Lane Kiffin. And there's 10 teams going for Lane Kiffin. If I was somebody,
With Lane Kiffin. Well, Lane Kiffin's not going anywhere. He said that.
I know.
He's learned his lesson. He jumped from job to job to job. He's got his family there. Had a divorce. Now he's got his family there with him. And, he at Ole Miss, they're happy being competitive. You take these other jobs. You take Michigan, Ohio State, these other jobs. People, it's what we're talking about. They expect you to win every single game and be perfect. And if you are not, if you are less than that, then there's criticize. We have this fine young man, this really upstanding guy, somebody to admire, this young Sharon Moore. And, people are just
Let him develop.
Well,
Let him develop, Coach.
When you take young coaches and young players, and I'm going to make an analogy to Bo, but I'm not going to make it yet. And it has to do with 1969 when Michigan had 2 losses and they played the vaunted great Ohio State. We'll leave it at that. When no one gave us a chance, no one thought we could beat them. But the only people who believed we'd beat them were the people in that room wearing the blue uniform with that magnificent headgear. And that is a difference. And that's, when I see our guys, I think they give effort. And I think they're proud to be Michigan. I think they've embraced that. And I think Bryce is delighted to be at Michigan. And I think they want to be here. Sharon all of a sudden is having a recruiting class that's in the top 10 in the country. Kids want to come here.
Yeah.
They like what you see. They like the culture. And when they come here, they talk to the other players. If the other players say, the coach's okay, but the kids are endorsing their coaches. That's what's bringing. And Bryce is actively helping recruit young receivers and stuff like that. So, just like JJ did when he got some other guys to come. So we have a wonderful sort of a family, and we're young, and we're coming forward, and we're moving forward. We're not an aged team. We don't have decrepit old coaches. We got young people, and they're talented young people, and they will make mistakes. There's the only cure for youthful indiscretion is, when you turn 23. Then you're cured. So it takes time to grow up. It takes time for programs to grow and coaches to grow together. And remember what I said. When he took this program over, he had no coaches. He's going into Michigan, he has no coaches. So he's not hired and bringing his staff with him. He has to go out and put a staff together. And that is very difficult to do. And I think he's done a real fine job of it. I think we have two really good coordinators. I like them. And then we got a young man. We got Coach Elford there. If I say it correctly, wonderful coach, running back coach. And all our other coaches love Michigan and they love being here, from what I understand. And so I think we have a good situation. And so, when we're not perfect, it's okay. The podcasters can, say no way we're going to win, but none of that matters. It just goes in the air. And as Bo said a long time, what did he say one time about Notre Dame? He says, the hell with those podcasters that are criticizing Michigan. Hell with them. They're good guys, and I'm sure they got valid opinions. Everybody's got a good, there's different kinds of opinions.
Clickbait, Coach. It's clickbait.
There's two kinds of an opinion. There's an uninformed opinion, and then there's an informed opinion. So if someone has an informed opinion, then you got to respect that. An uninformed opinion doesn't mean anything. It's not based on facts. It's usually a visceral, arbitrary, based on nothing empirical. I like to look at the facts. Ohio State is not a good running team. Look at the statistics. Michigan is a great running team. They're the second best in the conference, only behind that juggernaut that's down in Bloomington right now with a great coach named Signetti. We're doing good things.
I'll just tell you, Coach, November 29th in Ann Arbor, you're going to have to run the ball. I don't care what you say. You can't throw it 100 times. November 29th in Ann Arbor, Michigan, you're going to have to run the ball on Michigan to win the game.
I remember when we lost one time, and Bo was down the hall. Lloyd went to see him. He said, "Coach, what do you think?" It was a devastating loss. He said, "I think if you rush for under 100 yards against Ohio State, you shall not win the game." And that's what we had done that game. So we got to control the ball. But let's not worry about that. Let's rush. First of all, let's get healthy now. Let's get in the classroom. Let's do a good job on the campus. Let's stay out of the parties, out of the way of any cell phone cameras. But let's get better. Let's take this opportunity. What do I call it? A relentless pursuit of excellence, a relentless effort to improve. And that's what Sharon talks about. We got a lot to work on, a lot of mistakes. We will correct those things and get better. And he is correcting those things. You see improvement in the offensive line over time. It's not market improvement, but small improvement over time is big improvement. So we're getting a little bit better all the time. We get a little bit healthier. And so let's just keep going. We've had a nice string here. We're having a good season. We're not perfect, but we're getting better.
Pretty good coach.
And we have some more talent. We've got to make the plays, though.
Yep.
We've got to make the plays. When the receivers are open in these important games, we've got to hit them. And they got to catch them.
Pretty good coach we had said get 1% better every day. He wasn't bad. He was pretty good. And then on top of that, Coach, we're going to find out in these next two games, okay? Before you crucify anybody, well, let's find out when we go to Wrigley Field, the great Wrigley Field, one of the greatest stadiums in the nation. And when we play Northwestern, when we play Maryland, before we see those other guys, we're going to find out. I'm excited. I appreciate you chatting with me about it. I mean, trust me, Coach, I don't like beating Purdue 21-6, but there's a lot that people didn't see, okay? There's more than
the operative word.
Yes.
Beat. Yeah. You didn't say I hate losing Purdue. You said I don't like to beat them. Now, I like to beat them. Now, would I like to beat them better?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But that's okay. Let's learn from it. Let's get better. Let's not sit around and moan, think that we have no chance. Oh, how are we going to do it? How are we ever going to beat Ohio State? We're not playing Ohio State. We have a bye week right now. Ohio State is out there. They're out there. And God bless them. They're playing great. I don't care what I don't care who. It really doesn't matter that game, what the hell the records are. Both teams going to play, give their very best. And that's the beauty of that game. But let's beat Northwestern. Let's get better. Let's prepare for Northwestern. But let's fix those mistakes. Let's get that passing game going. We can do it.
Yep. Relentless effort. Relentless effort. Coach said it. We're going to,
relentless improvement, embrace tireless hard work. Those are all the things that it takes. Determination, resolve.
Absolutely, Coach. I appreciate talking to you. That's our after the whistle. That's our breakdown of Purdue. Thanks for your time, and go Blue, Coach.
Go Blue.